Vlog number 2. Today I am going to talk about flying or flight. Traveling is really popular these days. Personally, I love to travel and I love flying new places, stepping outside of my comfort zone. For the most part, I think flights are very accessible for deaf and hard of hearing people, which is really important. You don't need perfect hearing to fly safely. So I remember when I first started flying, the movies would be played on a flip down screen watched by everybody on the plane. They never had subtitles. So frustrating. Because I would have 4 or 5 hours of flight time to kill. Love watching movies. I had to just deal with it. Everybody around me would be focused on watching the movie and would be getting their entertainment. It sucked when people were laughing or crying because of this movie and I had no idea what was going on. However, nowadays they have those screens that are right in front of you, or you can connect your iPad or your iPhone to the Wi-Fi on the plane and pick your own movie. With that, you are able to get subtitles on most movies now, which is probably the most progressive thing for me. Sometimes it feels like the processor is getting trapped because of my hearing aid and it's blocking the air or the processor from getting in or out. So sometimes I'll need to move them around or take them out so I can help alleviate some of that processor. One of the coolest new features of flying with airlines, when you book a flight, there's usually a option where you can check back something that says I am deaf or hard of hearing. For me, this is most important when it comes to safety reasons. If there was an emergency, the flight staff would know that there was a deaf or hard of hearing person on the plane. So if they needed to communicate with me personally to make sure that I got information, then they would know exactly where I am, which I think is really helpful. The safety speech that they do at the beginning of every flight is also viewable on those safety cards in the seat in front of you. So you can pull that card out and see exactly what you would need to do if there was an emergency. One benefit of being hard of hearing or deaf is that if you have a service animal, then you are allowed to fly with them. Whenever I fly with my service animal, people are usually very accommodating and very helpful in terms of having us both be comfortable for the duration of the flight. When you book your flight and you see the option of checking a box that says whether you're deaf or hard of hearing, there's usually another check box to let airlines know that you're flying with a service animal. You have to let the airlines know a certain time before you actually get on the flight. Sometimes the airlines won't have that checkbox for your service animal, which is a whole other conversation because it makes it very difficult for me to let them know that I will be flying with my service animal. I usually have to get my parents to call the airline and let them know. It seems that more and more airlines are given that option to let them know when you book your flight online rather than having to call them. So when I am confirming that I am there and with my service animal, I will usually ask if they have a bucket seat available if they haven't already offered that up. The bucket seat, the first row in the economy class. These seats have a lot more legroom, which really allows my service animal to lie down more comfortably. There's this weird background noise that can happen on flights, and I'm not sure if everybody hears it like that or just because of my hearing aid, maybe the microphone or the vibration. One of the major negatives to flying for a deaf or hard of hearing person is the intercom. Safety talks are sometimes given. Captain will speak to the passengers about the turbulence or landing time. I have no idea what they talk about.
Shout out to our gold and 75K elite mileage plan.
All of the information that is said over the intercom, I don't get any of that. Then it can be really hard to get that information as far as where you are, when you're landing, or why you might be encountering some turbulence. If the plane was going down and the captain was like, "Mayday, mayday," everybody would be like freaking out, and I would just be asleep. Oh my god, we're gonna die. This could also be hard if I have a connecting flight, as if they are announcing that the flight is going to be landing at a later time and I have a connecting flight that I need to get to immediately, then I will miss out on that information. We are able to cancel out that airplane noise pretty easily. So if you're a baby and you want to cry for this entire flight, go for it, because it's not going to bother me, but I'm going to turn my hearing aids off. Thank you so much for watching. Look out for vlog number 3, which is coming soon. I'll see you then.